Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. This one is player rankings where myself and George from Ingenuity Fantasy make top 10 player lists for 6 different categories. Those categories being budget defenders, premium defenders, budget mids, premium mids, budget forwards, premium forwards. We rank our top 10s, we discuss it, so let's get straight into it. Welcome back. So we're starting with defenders, we're starting with budget defenders, and we're starting with Newcastle defenders because your Newcastle defender take is like a yo-yo. Like
Yeah,
one minute they're awful, 1 minute they're third and fourth in your list. So yeah.
yeah. So I just want to establish, if we are playing Trippier and Dan Burn, we are a relegation level defense. But if we are playing Hall and Livramento, we are Champions League European places level. Any Newcastle fan listening will completely understand the night and day difference our defense is when those two are in compared to when those two are out. And a lot of that comes from Dan Burn being completely vulnerable to any winger who's got more than 50 pace, which means that everyone else gets dragged out of position trying to cover. But it's also the same thing on Trippier's side. Because, our wingers aren't particularly quick either, especially at the moment, Barnes and Murphy. So we just end up in a situation where the entire right and left side of our pitch is slow. And we just end up getting absolutely cooked. But when Hall and Livramento play, they're up and down, they're covering, it's just a completely different story. So yeah, when they're back, I love our defense. When they're not playing, I hate our defense. And it's pretty much that simple.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, you did go through a period of looking like a terrible defense, to be fair. And
Yeah,
like you say, that kind of has coincided with those players being available or not. So
directly.
yeah, it makes sense. And Livramento's come up my list, well, mainly because he's fit now, but also just because, yeah, just a good option, to be honest. I mean, around this congested period, who knows if he's going to start every game, but nevertheless, he's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Then the next player is Matty Cash because he's come up to 4th on my list. He's come up to 6th on your list. He, for me, is a fantastic option right now. The fixtures are unbelievable, like really good. They're playing unbelievable. Probably the form team in the league. They've won 6 of the last 7 games. Yeah. And one thing to mention, actually, before we go too deep into this, is that this is based. Usually, we do this based on the next 5 game weeks. This one is based on the next 7 game weeks because we're not going to be able to record the next episode for a few weeks. So yeah, this is based on 7 game weeks. But yeah, Matty Cash, fantastic option because of how good the fixtures are, because of how good Aston Villa are playing. They've looked like a good defense as well.
Yeah, I mean, the end of those 7 fixtures when they've got, sort of United, Chelsea, and Arsenal, it does peel off a bit. But as you say, these next 4, where they've got Wolves at home, Brighton, and West Ham, anytime you've got those 3 teams in your next 4, you're coming into it with that sort of form, it's just normally going to mean points. Picking an Aston Villa defender is the slightly harder bit. So, when you are looking for upside, he does kind of rise to the top a little bit by default in that sense. So, if there are other Aston Villa defenders that were showing some of the upside that Cash has, they'd find themselves here. But at the moment, he just kind of is the only one. So, I'm not like blown away by Cash, but he's the best of a team that's playing well.
Yeah, I mean, his attacking numbers aren't exactly anything to write home about. I don't hate Konza. I don't hate Pau Torres. I wouldn't go for Luca Dean because Maatsen is just there. So, yeah, I like Cash. And then the rest of the players on the list, I mean, are pretty standard. Richards is top of both of ours. I've got Mukiele second because I absolutely love the bloke. Anderson's in here. Standard players, really. But you've got Van Hecke in second place. He does make my list. He's in 10th, but not someone that I'd be actively looking to buy right now.
Yeah, the thing is, I absolutely love Van Hecke. I mean, we said it before, Brighton's start to the season was grisly, to say the least, from a fixtures perspective. But in their last 3 games, I think they've only conceded 1 goal. They've kept 2 clean sheets. So, there's big clean sheet potential. And he's now going into a fixture stretch where in his next 5 games, he plays 4 of the bottom 6 attacks in the league statistically. Obviously, Villa are in better form, but as XG goes. But even still, the fact he has those sets of fixtures, the fact Brighton are actually playing deceptively well, and then on top of that, you throw in the fact that he's averaging around 9.3 defcons, which for a defender means, he's always a great candidate to pick some up. And I think it's just that combination of things. Brighton are playing well. They have some great fixtures coming up, and he's really good for defcons. They've only conceded 1 goal in their last 3. Those are just all generally good, a good recipe for defensive points.
Yeah, I think it's game week 14 that is the mirror of game week 19. I think it is. So every team will play this. We'll play one team twice in December. For Brighton, that happens to be West Ham. So, yeah, great, really. Yeah. Okay, that rounds out the budget defenders. If we go on to the premium defenders, a load of green arrows because obviously Gabriel has dropped out of our list, so everybody has just been bumped up. Essentially, we'll start off with Van Dijk because you've got Van Dijk down in 10th. Yeah. For me, he's 4th. He's on thin ice there for me, though. Yeah. He really is. I'm just not sure that he needs attacking threat at this point to be worth his price. And I think he does have that. The Liverpool defense is just a serious, serious worry for me. If we see a really, really bad defensive performance against West Ham, then he'll be dropping down my list.
Yeah, I think, we spoke earlier in the season about some results which are not concerning and some results which are concerning. 3-0 at home to 19th in the league is very, very concerning. We gave Liverpool some benefit of the doubt about how bad their fixtures were early in the season. They weren't the best fixtures. You're still Liverpool. You're still expected to win some. But this was the fixture that they were meant to at least say, okay, look, some of those fixtures were bad, but now we're right back on track. And they didn't do it, which I think is slightly concerning. So, when you're talking about shipping 3 goals at home to Forest, if Van Dijk isn't chipping in elsewhere, he's 10th, not because, I'm saying, oh, Van Dijk's rubbish, but look at the guys above him in this list. They are players you would expect to outscore Van Dijk in FPL over the next few weeks. These are all brilliant players. These aren't random players. He's not at 10th by him being rubbish. He's at 10th by default because everyone else is really good.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't look great either. In the Liverpool defense kind of looked in some sort of shambles as well. Like communication-wise, it looked awful. It was pretty bad as that game went. And like you say, the players underneath in my list, for example, Saliba, he can quite easily jump up because Arsenal defense is a joke. O'Reilly, fixtures are great, and he's great. Aït-Nouri's going to AFCON, all good things. Senesi, again, fixtures are pretty good. I mean, defensively, they're a bit shaky, but still. And then Palace guys, all of these guys are really good, so they could quite easily go above Van Dijk.
Exactly. And one thing I just want to touch on Senesi quickly. Senesi is a seriously, seriously underrated asset. So Bournemouth's last game, even against West Ham, let's not say that West Ham completely dominated Bournemouth. There were 2 goals kind of flash in the pan a bit. One was outside the area, one was a little turn. It's not like Bournemouth got regularly carved open by any stretch. I think the overall XG West Ham finished on was like 0.39 or something. Yeah. So, I'm not going to start tripping over the Bournemouth defense at the moment. They did look solid for the entire rest of that. But what Senesi brings, unlike other players, so Senesi is first in the entire Premier League for balls into the final third at 150, and first for balls over the top into the final third. So, actually directly on goal. For reference, second is Pedro Porro on 30. So he's more than double balls into the final third. And I mentioned this in an article last week. I said, the way Senesi is employed within Iraola's system is not just, in the defensive sense. He's actually employed as the line breaker, as the person who's trying to get it into the final third. And as a result, this is why, if you check, Senesi's expected assists are quite high. They're way higher than every other defender, and it's for this reason. And we saw exactly what happened, as a result of that against West Ham. He played a superb pass into Unal Completely picked him out. So Senesi's attacking threat isn't just corners. It's not just crosses. He's also involved in the playmaking, the balls into the final third. So when you add it onto the fact he's got the most DEFCONs in the league, and you add it onto the fact that Bournemouth have great fixtures, Senesi's just fantastic.
And he'll be typically better at that against worse teams when Bournemouth have more of the ball. The centre backs can be higher. I mean, I'd love to know how many of those were against West Ham, because he did it time and time again against us at the weekend. But we pretty much just let him. I mean, it was bad from us. Nevertheless, he's still looking for that all the time, which is good. So that's that. Then O'Reilly comes into this. He was in the budget defenders last week. He comes into the premium now. I think he's a brilliant option. I'm not expecting him to start every single game over the next 4, but over the next kind of 7, Aït-Nouri will go to AFCON, and I think generally his minutes will be good enough.
Yeah, I think also this is just a perfect example of results that aren't concerning. So City losing to us. It's not like City played badly. It's not like they weren't creating anything. We did. It was completely end to end. Either team could have genuinely won that game. We just tightened up a little bit more than they did. But O'Reilly, I still liked what I saw. He found himself in the final third quite frequently. Honestly, his layoff to Haaland, you'd honestly expect Haaland to score. I'm really surprised we're not walking away with at least an O'Reilly assist here. So in terms of occupying the right areas, there's absolutely nothing that turned me off O'Reilly. He's still a great asset.
Yeah, he gets forward a lot. Yeah. And like you say, I haven't thought differently about any Man City player based on that result.
Yeah.
Complete opposite to the Liverpool guys. But I agree. And then the last player we'll touch on quickly is Cucurella, because he's not in my list, but he is 5th in yours, in fact.
Yeah. I mean, I just quite like Chelsea at the moment. Chelsea look really, really good. But more importantly, they look really good defensively. I think they've strung together. There's now 3 clean sheets in a row. They're looking really, really tight. Their fixtures, once they get Arsenal out the way, Leeds, Bournemouth, Everton, Newcastle, Villa, it's not that scary. I think everyone likes to think it's 3 reds on FDR, but it's not actually that scary, So yeah, I'm just not that scared by Chelsea fixtures at all. And I think Cucurella's propensity to get forward, when you throw it into a team that's kept 3 clean sheets in a row and is playing fantastic defensively, I just think there's plenty of potential there.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying it last season. He picks up some really odd positions for a left back. Like at times, he'll just pop up in like a number 10 role. But for me, it's more minutes. I just don't think that he is actually going to start every single game. I think he'll start most, but maybe not all of them, which is potentially a problem. But that rounds out the premium defenders and the defenders. We'll be back for the midfielders. Before we get into the midfielders, I just want to talk about IngenuityFantasy.com. Completely free website. The link is in the description. All sorts of cool stuff on there. They've got the player rankings we're talking about today, articles from various different people on captaincy, differentials, free hit drafts, all that good stuff. They've got FPL and football quizzes to test your knowledge. And they've also got a transfer wizard. Really cool tool where you put in what position you need, you put in how much money you've got to spend on it, and it will give you a ranked list of options that you should consider. So make sure you're checking out IngenuityFantasy.com. Link is in the description, completely free. Now let's get into the midfielders. Okay, on to midfielders and on to budget midfielders. We will start with Declan Rice, who goes into 1st for you. He comes up to 3rd for me. He is... he's just brilliant, to be fair. Even if you watch games, he's just getting into crazy positions. He's getting defensive contributions. He's taking set pieces. His routes to points are just outrageous.
Yeah. I think that's you hit the nail on the head. He has so many different routes to points. And naturally, whoever is on set pieces in that Arsenal team, considering how much of a focal point of their play it is always going to end up, in and around points. I think he's on 7 returns already this season, something crazy like that for a centre mid, which is absolutely mad. And then you factor in the fact that he's got a really decent DEFCON potential, every now and then. And, you're just running out of reasons not to pick him. What's not to like? He's only 6.9 million. So, I absolutely love Rice for pretty much every reason. He just gets involved in every single way.
Yeah, at the weekend, he got an assist. He got defensive contributions. None of that was from a set piece.
Yep.
He could have scored early on in the game.
Yeah.
Like there's just points everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely love him as an option, even though the fixtures aren't the best. Arsenal were just a joke.
Yeah.
Then moving on to the next player, Harvey Barnes.
Yeah. Hear me out.
So we Harvey Barnes' love from your side was a big thing last season in these lists, and we're back here again. So go on.
I either hate Barnes or I love Barnes. There is no. I've never been like, oh, Barnes is all right, and that is in no small part down to how streaky he is. So when Barnes scores once, and and we're starting him, what that does, especially if he scores twice, what that does is that nails down his spot in the starting lineup for the next 4 or 5 games. And every time Barnes scores, normally there is a flurry or a streak. Normally he scores like 5 out of 6 games in a certain period, and he gets multiple goals, and then he just absolutely falls off a cliff. So this is everyone's chance to jump in at the start of the Harvey Barnes streak, which will happen, by the way. Gordon's lacking match fitness. Gordon has been way off the pace. I can't see a world where we change the lineup after beating City like we did. So I think Harvey Barnes, at least for the next 4 or 5 games, has got that starting spot. And when Harvey Barnes streaks, he really does streak. So he's also per 90 averaging a higher expected goal involvement than studs like Saka or even Mbeumo, who everyone seems to be absolutely fawning over. So by just purely sort of like being in the right place, Harvey Barnes should come into plenty of points if he starts, and I think he will start. So that's basically where I land on it.
It's fair. I agree that I think you start. I don't think you change your team for the next game now. I agree with that. I'm just not sure that Gordon's not going to play any football. Like, I'm not going to start any games over the next 5 weeks or whatever it may be. You've got a lot of games coming up as well. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, he is great, but also wasn't he the one last season who, whenever you got a little bit optimistic about him, he just decided to then do nothing and blank every time?
Yep, exactly. Because this is what happened. That was out the back of his streak. So you're not sure when the streak ends. But the second it ends, you have to get off. If he blanks 2 or 3 games in a row and he's still starting, get rid of him. He won't score again. But if he scored 2 games in a row, you just ride the train until it falls off. This is every Newcastle fan knows this is how it is with Harvey Barnes. When he's scoring goals, he will score goals multiple games in a row. When he's not scoring goals, that stretch will also last multiple games in a row. He's either scoring or he's not. He has 2 options. He's not maybe. He won't be one every 3 games. So yeah,
he's looking sharp as well. He is looking sharp.
If there's one thing the guy can do, it's striker football. He's not the quickest, he's not the most skillful, but boy, he can finish. So
his finishing is unbelievable. Yeah.
So at the moment, we've mentioned his XGI per 90 being higher than Mbeumo's, for example, and everyone's fawning over Mbeumo. So I personally think as a differential, he's only 0.5% owned as well. So if you have got lots of transfers, he could be a really, really good way of attacking rank. I think it's considering his propensity to get multiple return hauls.
Yeah, I don't mind him. Not in my list yet, but this is the thing with me. I take a while to get to warm up to a player. By that point, he'll be pointless. But moving on to the premium midfielders and some movement in our lists, mainly because of injuries, AFCON. There's a lot of, obviously we're looking at the next 7 game weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of players are going to be going to AFCON in 4 game weeks time, roughly. So that's why the likes of Mbeumo come down the list. That's why the likes of Salah come down the list. But the first player we'll touch on, because he has a huge day, is Eze. He hasn't moved in my list, admittedly. That performance doesn't actually change too much for me for him as an FPL option. He's still good. I still don't think... I mean, it depends what Odegaard looks like in terms of fitness whenever he's back. If he's out for a while, I actually don't know what his fitness is, but if he's out for a while, then Eze's good. And he always has been, hence his placement in the list. But if Odegaard's back soon, then I just can't trust Eze's minutes.
Yeah, I think, even though Eze's sort of risen on my list, it's it's not me sort of overreacting because he's just gone above Gakpo and Liverpool because Liverpool look bad, and he's gone above Mbuemo because he's going to be off to AFCON. Within this time stretch we're talking about. So it's not like he's leapt up. I've been like, oh yeah, he scored a hat trick and he's leapt up. You are still, especially considering how many fixtures Arsenal have coming up with Odegaard coming back, you do have to worry about Eze's minutes. I think, he definitely did enough that weekend to say he's got the starting spot. I don't think Odegaard walks in and takes his spot back anymore, like at all. But you just think whenever there's that much fixtures, there just will be players rotated. And Eze may be subject to some of that rotation for sure. But I think for now, if you have him, you do not need, just enjoy it. You do not need to move off him at all. Because he should still get a lion's share of the minutes, particularly at the moment. So just enjoy it with Eze, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely outrageous footballer, joke of a footballer.
Yeah.
Okay, the next we're going to look at Man United players now because Fernandes is top of both of our lists. For me, Cunha is third. Now this is based on him actually being fit. Of course, he missed the Monday night game yesterday. I mean, I actually still haven't even seen an update on it. I don't know why he missed the game. I think I saw a rumor that it was a head injury in training or something, but I don't know anything about it. So if he's not going to be fit, then obviously he drops down my list. But this is just assuming he's fine for these games. And then Mbuemo drops down to 7th on mine and yours because he's only getting probably 4 of the next 7 games. However, he is still great for those next 4.
Yeah, so just because Mbuemo finds himself at 7, that is not to say that I don't mind buying him at all. I still believe, the Everton result, I'm not gonna lose my rag over. It wasn't like a Liverpool Forest result. It's not panic on Man United's attack yet at all. We've seen enough good games that one game shouldn't really put you off them. I think they're still fantastic attack. So what that does mean, I would still buy Mbuemo. I think he's still a great buy candidate, but it's hard to factor into this list the fact that you get 5 free transfers for AFCON. So if you believe in Mbuemo's points, like I do, like we know Brad does, then I would still absolutely move for Mbuemo. And maybe don't overload your team with players going to AFCON, but moving for one of them, if it's Mbuemo, if you believe in his points, and then just using that transfer to get off him, it's not going to hurt you that much in the long term, considering that you're still going to get him for about 4 weeks. So yeah, I still love transferring in Mbuemo.
Yeah, me too. If I was on wildcard, he'd be in my team for sure. I don't think anybody will have that many players going to the African Cup of Nations in their teams. I mean, we're looking at Sarr, we're looking at Mbuemo. If you've got Salah, then Salah.
And Dye,
And Dye, I suppose. Outside of those 4, who else have you got, realistically? So, we're not going to have a massive use to get rid of a load of African Cup of Nations players. So, yeah, I'd still be buying him in. Speaking of African Cup of Nations players, Salah has dropped to 5th in mine. And again, for the same reason, African Cup of Nations. If this is an interesting one, because this is a popular week for free hit. I'm on free hit this week, probably. And I think I'm going to pick Salah on my free hit. Not captain him, because I don't captain against West Ham. That's crazy. But I probably will have him. Do you think you'd have him on free hit?
He'd be on the edge. I think I would have to see. The only reason I would maybe not have him on free hit is because I quite like the sort of plethora of midfield options, and I would want to go 3 up front at the moment. I'd be really tempted to go 3 up front. It comes down to personal preference. As you say, I definitely wouldn't captain him. The Forest result was really, really concerning, but yeah, I think the West Ham fixture, it's hard to leave him out. So I probably would lean to him, but I don't think you can go wrong with leaving him out either. I'm genuinely 50-50. There's no right or wrong decision. It's pure preference.
For me, I can see that the way that both teams are defending right now, that game just seems like a goal fest to me. That could be pure goals both ends. In which case, I like Salah for it, and I probably will have him on my free hit, I think. But yeah, that rounds out the premium midfielders. Everyone else is pretty standard, and we'll be back for the forwards. Okay, onto the forwards and budget forwards first. This one's going to be interesting because you've got right, okay. Let's do Kroupy first. You've got Kroupy at
Yeah.
3. So talk to me there.
Every time he plays, he's good. I still really like Kroupy. I know Semenyo's out. We don't know how much time Semenyo is missing, but it's clear. The thing about it, whoever misses time, whether it's Evan Nilsson, whether it's Semenyo, Kroupy seems to be the next man up, regardless of who it is who's out on the forward line. So he does have a very, very solid route to minutes at all times. But but also when he is on the pitch, he's actually really, really dangerous. Like he is.
Oh, he's good. He's really good. Yeah, I agree.
So,
when he's on the pitch, he is actually very good.
Yeah. So he is. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you look at the rest of the list, that is why Kroupy finds himself where he is. Then you've always got the chance that Semenyo leaves in the start of January.
Yeah, fair.
But I don't know. I mean, I personally think Kroupy. There's only so well you can keep playing before you eventually claim a starting spot. And I think he must absolutely be knocking on the door, considering he's next man on. So, I think he's just there for the upside, basically.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, and the problem is the other Bournemouth attackers are also playing really good. It's not like there's a. I mean, route to minutes is hilarious, by the way. What route to minutes? But anyway, okay, right. Enough on that one. So next one, Richarlison, because this is just
Richarlison
undefendable.
Richarlison is a terrible footballer. Richarlison is a bad footballer. Unfortunately, whether you like it or not, when the likes of Kolo Muani come on as well, they are equally uninspiring at the moment. And I mean, he's an absolute shithouse, yeah, but he has managed to score. He's managed to pitch in with a couple goals, and obviously he hasn't lit the world on fire, but
the opposite.
The opposite. But I think at the moment he is Spurs' starting striker, like whether we like it or not. And until someone steps up and takes that spot from him with any vim, he's going to get a decent share of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, the last 2 games, Man United and Arsenal, are 2 of the worst performances from a forward I've ever seen. For starters, I don't actually hate him as a player. Like last season, I was all over him from FPL. Like there was points where he was actually really good, and I think he can be quite a nuisance at times. But the last 2 games, he has played horrifically, like really bad. Admittedly, he still scored in both of them, but played really badly. Not only that, Spurs' attack in general has nothing going for it.
Yeah,
absolutely not. They don't look like scoring a goal at all. They look horrific. And thirdly, I think that when anybody comes back, whether that be Kolo Muani, whether that be Solanke, I think Solanke's actually potentially back now. But regardless, I just can't see them continuing with Richarlison when other players are back, and I think they are back soon.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they are back, I imagine they'll go back into the squad. The problem is Kolo Muani doesn't look that up to speed yet, and I have I don't even know if Solanke knows what's happening with Solanke. So it's more just the sort of the unknown element around the rest of the attacking options at the moment that is means that Richarlison probably gets a decent amount of minutes in the next few weeks. I mean, especially, if Solanke does come back, they're not going to throw him straight back into 90-minute football either. They'll probably bring him up to speed over a few games. So I just...
But to me, they're a worse attack than like 18 teams in the league. I don't see them being any better. Like Wolves and Burnley are the only attacks that are worse than Spurs right now, I'd say. So like even minutes in that Spurs team doesn't get you anywhere for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. I'm definitely not going to sit here and defend Spurs' attack. But yeah, I think
we're into the dregs when you get past like the top 2. It's poor.
Don't assume I'm defending anyone 4 and below. I'll defend Kroupy to the death, but I won't defend anyone else.
Yeah, so I mean, Raul Jimenez is only 3 for me because Muniz seems to be out for a while. And again, I prefer this Fulham attack to some other attacks here. Like Strand Larsen's in 5th just because he's getting minutes for a terrible attack. So yeah, I mean, the next player to talk about though is Callum Wilson because he could be the best striker in the world.
Well, he hasn't had his bi-weekly injury yet, which is
We're
always
managing him. That's why.
yeah.
We're
No, you
managing him.
manage him, yeah.
Came
I
off at
think
half time.
I think Wilson just blows too hot and cold for me. When he's on the pitch, he is decent, but he can't make it past 45 minutes. And I think whenever your minutes are being permanently managed just so your body doesn't collapse, I just think it's hard to have much faith. But when he is on the pitch, decent player.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, yeah, at the weekend he did actually come off at half time, but previous to that, it's been like 60 minutes, which is fine. I think that is what you need to do if you've got Wilson. You can't just flog him. So
Yeah.
I don't hate it. But then the top two are just the top two. Thiago's absolutely fantastic, ridiculously great value, and Welbeck's getting there as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I absolutely love. I mean, everyone loves Thiago. We don't need to say too much about Thiago, but I absolutely love Welbeck. I think Brighton's attack is really, really slept on at the moment. They've got, I think they've scored the fourth amount of goals in the league this season. They're level with Man United on 19. And I think, Welbeck has been the main beneficiary of that. But more importantly, when you look at Brighton's fixtures, for an attacker, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, West Ham, Liverpool. Liverpool is a juicy fixture for an attacker at the moment, if we're being honest. And then Sunderland. I'm pretty sure that's 4 of the bottom 6 defences.
And then it's West Ham again.
Yeah,
again in game week 19.
Exactly. And then they've got West Ham again. So if you're a Brighton attacker, that is you are absolutely licking your chops at those fixtures. So I love Welbeck, particularly if you want to go down a differential route to Thiago. I think he's got 7% less ownership, so I think he's a really sneaky option there.
Yeah, I like him. I'm not 100% sure that he plays every game, but I don't really have loads of other options that have been great. So yeah, I don't mind him.
Brighton don't have. It's not like Brighton are playing in Europe either. I think his minutes can be relied upon way more than like the other 7 teams who are playing in Europe. So I actually think there is a decent chance he plays a good bulk of those games.
Yeah, that is a fair point. On to the premium forwards, and there isn't much to speak about here, to be honest. We'll go with Watkins because you'd think Watkins would be a pretty good option, given that Aston Villa, firstly, are playing some unbelievable football. Secondly, their fixtures are really good. But first, he's not really scoring in these games, to be honest. And also, he's coming off early. He came off pretty early the weekend. Every time Donyell Marlon comes onto the pitch, he looks like the best player on the pitch. So for me, he needs to get more minutes. I mean, they can get minutes together, of course, but I just don't think Watkins is that great an option, even with all those points.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I mean, Aston Villa are playing really, really well despite him at the moment. I think he just comes on. He just seems to do a bit of a bleep test and then get subbed off early for Marlon. So we just can't trust. We just can't trust Watkins yet. I mean, the only reason he's even got a green arrow next to him is because of his fixtures, but I wouldn't go near him, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed. And then, I'd love to be talking good things about a Liverpool forward right now, but there's just nothing good to say about them, is there?
How long can you keep starting Isak there instead of Ekitike? I saw they're experimenting with Isak on the left wing, and he scored like 10 goals in training. Like, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, Liverpool, man. And like they're pure greed. They're being shunned. They're being served right for their pure greed. If they hadn't bought Ekitike, bought Isak early, then we'd have got a replacement early. Isak wouldn't have down tools and become unfit, and everyone would be a lot happier. So, this hate watch is being absolutely sensational, and it means that you can't touch Liverpool attackers at the moment as well. So, I mean,
maybe that's a blessing in disguise anyway. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not much to write home about the premium forwards, to be honest, but that rounds up the premium forwards and the forwards. So, yeah, make sure you're checking out ingenuityfantasy.com. All sorts of good stuff on there, as I mentioned earlier. But that rounds out this one. We'll be back next. We won't be back next week. That's a lie. We'll be back for game week. What game? 16, probably. I think the next one we'll be back for is. So, yeah. Hope you all have a good game week. And that is all for now. We'll see you all next time.